peace, true peace, true peace. Peace and blessings, everybody. We're gonna get started today. About to share the space. Get started today. Peace and blessings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy holy day. Islam. I want to go ahead and give our honors to the Prophet, Noble Jew Ali, as well as the forerunner of the Prophet, Honorable Marcus Garvey, and all of the messengers and divine leaders that came along with the Holy Prophet. And I am Grand Sheik Dr. Lawiy Zodok Shamuel of Branch Temple number 24. We are a global branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. So tonight we'll be going in as we do as usual. I'm going to continue sharing the room here, and we're going to get it started with our divine supplication and all those good things here in a second. Just let me share the room. Share the room real quick, and then we're going to get started. Sharing it to the good old Twitter, good old Facebook, as well as our people on Instagram and Telegram, so that way they can come in and participate in today's holy day. So let me do that real quick. We're about to get it going, y'all. All right, there's one more share real quick to good old Instagram. And we're about to have us a blessed holy day. I hope everyone is enjoying their Friday, their holy day today, and had a blessed day. Very productive day. You know, the season is getting to that time where it's gonna be, you know, cold. Cold is, you know, as usual. So let's get to it. All right, so we're gonna move on to this divine supplication, y'all. And let's do that. All right. Let's do it. Right. So you know how it go. We begin all things, all prayers, by using the all. And if you're coming in and listening to the replays, go ahead and click that gray block of words up at the top that says World Temple. So that way you can join us every Friday, every Sunday, where we have our newcomers gathering. And with that, let's get into this prayer. O Heavenly One, the Most High, who is sustainer of all the worlds, we do accept the duty you have lain on us to clean up the filth made by the West and its non-submitting fools. O my sustainer, we beseech you to keep your hand over us to control the strings of the courses of our lives. Our sustainer, and if we do wrong, please show thy divine blessings and forgiveness on us. You are the only one that can raise us true followers of the news bearers, and in our name, we carry on. All right. So I'm about to get us started with our daily affirmations. What we accept as facts. The daily affirmation of the children of the Elohim And we accept as fact the eternal laws of nature as revealed through science, past events, logic, and common sense, revealed as right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We accept as fact the laws of nature is the cooperation and harmony of all living things. We accept as fact our way of life as a means to the best end. We accept as fact that loyalty is the greatest of all honors and treason is the worst of all crimes. We accept as fact that what is good for the Holy Tabernacle is the highest virtue, and what is bad for the Holy Tabernacle is the ultimate evil. We accept as fact that the Holy Tabernacle is the finest and noblest organization for all humanity, created by circumstances, and the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek is the noblest of fraternities on and above this planet. We accept as fact that creativity, love, and cooperation are the essence of success. We accept as fact that truth and facts are always and has always been the originator and creator of all success. We accept as fact that all worthwhile cultures and civilizations came about from the ancient Sumerians and Kamite Egyptians and the Anunnaki, or Elohims from the heavens without which there would be none. We accept as fact that for the Holy Tabernacle to survive, expand, and advance, we need first of all a revolution of values and thoughts which must start within each person by being truthful with themselves and about themselves. Therefore, we completely and categorically reject all myths, fictions, religions, and lies that have not been proven. That would include your heavens, your hells, your hellfires, and brimstones, your horn and pitchfork devils, your winged angels, and your old man God character sitting on a throne up there somewhere. We deal strictly with facts. If you can't prove it, we don't want to hear it. That doesn't mean we won't listen to you. Just don't expect us to accept your beliefs by virtue of a title such as Reverend, Pastor, Deacon, Imam, Sheik, Rabbi, Minister, Theologian, etc. That is your sensationalism, and we deal with just the facts. We accept this fact that the only true revolution is a war of good against evil, right against wrong, fairness against unfairness, loyalty against disloyalty, sincerity against insincerity, honesty against dishonesty. And this war is fought within each person among the agreeable and disagreeable Elohims that make up your willpower. We accept this fact that the unity of our community and its success will only happen with cooperation with all involved. We accept this fact the total unification of all humanity on the basis of truth, that is, accepting people and races for who and what they are, respecting their culture, their languages, and their beliefs, and expect the same. We accept this fact that the human race's biological and cultural heritage is now under attack by our own morals, our self-righteousness, our desire to control industry, and these things attack the very existence of humanity. We accept this fact that males as well as females are equal in all things and should be dealt with as partners in all matters. We accept this fact that no one race of people is better than the other. In fact, no one wins the race in racism. We accept this fact that communication between different people is the cure to the ignorance that breeds the disease, hate. We accept this fact that a good and well-rounded education could prevent most of the ignorance that plagues the world. We accept this fact that the all is just that. The all, you can't take from the all. You can't add to the all. We are all within the all is one. That is our concept of what you call a deity. To the fulfillment of these facts, we children of the Elohim forever pledge our lives, our sacred honor, and our spiritual zeal. True peace, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, we're going to get started here. Let's open up this divine constitution and bylaws. And we're going to get into them as we do every week. All right. Welcome. Hope y'all having a good holy day, like I said. So let's get into this. Y'all know how I go. 2 fingers facing it. 2 fingers up, 5 fingers up. Feet at a 45-degree angle, facing the east. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, true peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Omniversal Ali, Islam. All right, so let's get into this divine constitution. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make laws and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all. They may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, color folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of the government of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God, Allah. True peace, y'all. True peace. All right, so we're going to get started. We're going to get started here with the weekly readings. We're going to get into our channeling this week. Looks like it's coming down here. But nevertheless, we're going to open it up with chapter 25, as we do every week, the Holy Covenant. And last week we was talking about, surrounding yourself with some active Moors, some active body members of the temple, because it is pertinent in these days and time. So, just keep that in mind. Y'all want to go back and listen to last week's Holy Day, so that way you can get a lot of good information that we talked about. I had to cut it short this Sunday because we had some audio problems, but nevertheless, you can still hear me open up the temple. But let's do this week's reading with chapter 25, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, and it reads, Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother had given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. All right, y'all. So that was chapter 25. We're going to go ahead and jump to chapter 47, called Egypt, the capital called Egypt. Let me make sure I say it wrong, because I always get it a little twisty there. Chapter 47, called Egypt, the capital empire of the dominion of Africa. And I want to touch on that real quick before we go ahead and read that. It says dominion, y'all. So you want to pay key attention, because it says the capital empire. So that means that there were multiple empires across the world, but there was a capital empire, and there was a dominion. There were dominions of the dominion of Africa. So I just want y'all to sit on that for a while. When you think about this, these words coming from the prophet. So let's get into it. Chapter 47, and it reads, "The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family was second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa. The dividing of the land between the father and the son. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sovereign from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands. Before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean, the river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in order to trade in those ancient days for trade, and it extends eastward from the river Nile westward across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who was able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. These holy and divine laws are from the prophet Zabuwr Ali, the founder of the uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they will learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs, in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. The Prophet Zabuwr Ali was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and awful day that is sure to come. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess its own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery, due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America, whom were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their forefathers, their principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. All right, so y'all, that was chapter 47. Peace, Brother Jonathan. I see it. So, yeah, like I said, we got to pay attention to where it says the dominion of Africa. As we say every week, there's one thing about this repetition where, like I said, it's something new that's pointed out every week. Especially with the things we talked about last week, and the whole point of us being called Asiatics, and what does it mean to be of Asia, as we kind of went into some details in last week's Holy Day, which y'all can go back and listen to the replays of. But the information that was there that we left on the record, it really touches heavy on the points of what we read every week in chapter 47, about the sacred knowledge of the Asiatics of North America. And so with that, we are those children who have the sacred wisdom that came out of the first civilizations on the planet. So, these things need to be addressed, talked about, and touched on, which we might go a little bit into detail tonight again. But let's move on to chapter 48, called The End of Times and the Fulfilling of the Prophecies. And it reads, the last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner of Jesus who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospels to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own, and be one with their Father God Allah. The Moorish Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth about that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of man under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We, as a clean and pure nation, descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed, for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earthland, which the Lord thy God Allah had given thee. Come all ye Asiatics of America and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourself with the family of nations. We honor all true and divine prophets. Islam. So, before we get into it tonight, because we gonna drop the channelings that's coming through, of course. But we have to really wake it up with this, because the prophet said ETC throughout the world, y'all. So there has to be somebody that step it up and actually show that we are a global branch and do the work on behalf of not just all the temples in the states, but the temples that are establishing and erecting themselves globally through the Moorish Temple of America, and what we have through the Religious Corporation Act, and understand the power of the jurisdiction that we have and what's being established as we go through this evolutionary time we're in at the moment. And this is a strong reach out for those that are in the temple, that are not in the temple but actually need a temple home, because a lot of people learn about the Moorish Temple of America and they get it confused with all these other things that that have no association with the temple. So we want to make sure that we provide space here in the temple for those people to get involved, because not being a part of a branch temple is an important thing, especially when it comes to proclaiming your nationality, and actually understanding the principles of proclaiming your nationality, and just understand that this is not a get out of jail free card proclaiming your nationality, but this is something that's strongly encouraged for people to really understand that we encourage our people to really take heed to the fact that without a nationality, without a nationality, there's also more dire consequences, with you still being, under the risk of being a ward of the state, which, here there's certain laws that, still pertain to, people being wards of the state. So, we really have to understand that principle and, those things, because, this is something that is really not talked about too much per se, because a lot of people are out of the loop with the principles that pertain to the science of the temple. And we gotta wake it up for people. And that's pretty much what we're here to do every week, maintain that consistency as the prophet instructed us to do. Because if you're not understanding the laws of this country, there's no get out of jail free card just because you're Moorish and you have the ability as a Moorish temple member to really get yourself a get out of jail free card. Things don't really work that way. So it's best to understand that part as well, because we have a lot of people that would tell our people that otherwise, that there's no jurisdiction and things like that. But if you commit a crime, you pretty much commit a crime. You have to pay the consequences for that. There's no getting out of that particular issue or getting away with that particular issue. So you really want to look into these things and understand it. So let's get into some of this literature tonight from the prophet, y'all. We're gonna dive in tonight to some of the things that the prophet has said in the literary from the prophet. And really touch on some things. All right. So the prophet, let it be known, how he felt, in the past about, certain things that was taking place in the temple And in these day and times, we kind of dealing with that, real heavy in these temples. And we got to really understand how to really communicate with ourselves, but with ourselves as a people. And the prophet left us some things about how we communicate, and I want to touch on that first, because this is the main key importance when it comes to unifying our people, is how we convey our messages and how we communicate with one another. The prophet said, one of the most difficult things in this world to get control of is the human tongue. Kipling never wrote anything truer than when he wrote that man may hold most any post if he only hold his tongue. Before you set your tongue to action, get it under control. A single tongue can do more harm in the world than a battalion of soldiers. For soldiers can kill but bodies, while the tongue can kill reputations and characters. It is really too bad that we have no laws to curb tongues from lying and scandalizing. No doubt you all have read the story of Lago, a character in one of Shakespeare's plays. When he powerfully pictured the character of Lago, the terrible consequences following the path of an evil tongue. Lago not only destroyed the reputation and pure character of Desmonia, but he finally, through Othello, killed her body. That's why I say, compel your tongue to speak helpful messages, or else keep it still. Make it a rule of your life to use your tongue for high purposes only. Resolve to speak of man or woman of no other way unless you speak of good qualities of that man or woman. No one ever gained happiness out of injuring the feelings or character of someone else. No one ever failed to get happiness by speaking well of other people. So learn as if you were to live forever. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. And we were talking about this last night in the entrepreneur space that I be in on here on Clubhouse, where one of the speakers was talking about having a fear of flying, and actually the fear was about the fear of death, and just also control, not being in control, because she's not behind the wheel of the airplane. So that causes her to have a lot of great fear, plus being in the air, of course, and just flying over the land. But yeah, that was something that really came up also as well last shadow hour. But it's really important how we speak to each other, because the tongue is powerful. What you speak into existence is very, very powerful. So how we communicate with one another is very, very powerful. And you can influence somebody for the greater or the worser. And you want to be making sure you're planting seeds of positivity. Give me a second, John. True Peace, I see you, Simone. All right, so let me go ahead and mod you up. Yeah, we want to make sure we speaking messages out into the universe of positivity, because the things you speak and say are very, very impactful to you and the people around you. So let's jump into some of this literature. Peace and blessings, Noble. You can chime in if you would like before I jump to this next thing. I'm about to jump into some of these oral sayings and prophecies from the prophet. Yeah, last week I think, or the week before that, we was mentioning how the prophet mentioned that every church that when the Moors step into a church, that church it's no longer a church. it becomes a temple. So, we want to really wake it up with people. The prophet say, anytime a Muslim goes into a church for any reason, it ceases to be a church and it is a temple. So, when y'all step in here, we having church on Fridays, yes, because Friday is the first, the day the first man was formed in flesh, and the day the man ascended out of flesh. So for that, we having our holy day every Friday, y'all, and taking it back to the ancient ones in the ancient times. But yeah, this is some of the prophecies coming from the prophet, and we just gonna scale through some of these things real quick as they pertain to situations today that's going on in this world. So we're gonna wake it up with that. The prophet said, I brought you everything that it takes to save a nation. Take it and save yourself. So when the prophet said this, the prophet was holding up the Holy Qur'an Circle 7 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And the questionnaire, the Temple 101 questionnaires, to show us that he gave us everything we need to save ourselves with. So that means we have the text. We have, like I said, some of these metaphysic principles, main metaphysic principles that the prophet went to, even leaving some clues and some things that people are yet to still, understand, because, our people take a lot of things literal, and or some things too metaphorical, and we lacking in that gift of discernment. But if you have the fukra, which means the gift of discernment, discerning between the allegory and what is actually literal, that'll put you ahead of a lot of people in their understanding. But the prophet did give us the tools that we need to save ourselves, which is understanding the Holy Quran Circle 7 and the messages that was left in there, whether they want to, say it was metaphysical things and principles, that was extracted from the Bible and the sacred text. A lot of the things that the prophet put in there, also come from the hidden principles of religion, or histories of religion, I mean. And these are the things that are not really spoken about, just too much, because we have churches and we have other bodies of people that highly invested in making sure that we don't have the complete facts, and the complete truth of things. So with that, let's keep it moving. The prophet said, every word that I speak is spirit, and you Moors better heed. That sounds like what we be saying in here every week. The prophet said he channeling, y'all. Prophet said he was channeling. That's basically what the prophet is saying. He's sitting there channeling and talking spirit, letting spirit speak through him. The spirit of Yahshua HaMashiach. And when I say we here every week, we not here with no script. We here with the structure, but we not here with a script. So it ain't no, scripted message that I'm giving. This is straight off the ether. Like the youngsters say, straight off the dome. It's straight off the dome. The nine divine mind. The noon, the neo, the nous. So yeah, this is something that we need to take very, very much heed to. But the prophet said, when the fire comes, I will be the water. And it said, they were saying that the Moors that saw that and heard the holy prophet say what he said, the prophet said, what are all these people doing here? There's only going to be a handful saved. I can count them on my fingers and have fingers left over. Which means, from the standpoint of the prophet, that when the fire of the last days, or the end of time, that they say will destroy all the wicked, says they too will be burnt up. They say that they too will be burnt up. And if they don't get in line with these principles, they're gonna miss the coming, the second coming, as it's called. So we all understand kind of what that's about, because the prophet also said, I have got airplanes, zeppelins, and apparatus. I'm going to take my good Moors up in an apparatus on an incline until it's all over with. Which meant, from the prophet's standpoint, when fiery destruction comes, like we just mentioned, at the end of time, for the second coming, says, they say the prophet is going to take up his good Moors on an incline until that destruction is over, where they will be safe. And then they will inherit the earth. So that's coming straight out the scriptures, y'all, where it say the meek shall inherit the earth. And some of these things that's happening, especially like with this 2020 quarantine that just happened, right? That stuff is happening like clockwork. So I'm about to put it in the chat. I'm about to put it in the chat. Psalms 37:11. It says, the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Here lies an insight, why meekness is seen in the biblical times as a positive trait. That's what the commentary was after that verse. But I'm going to just go and read the verse by itself and add it to the chapters. And then you have it again in Matthew 5:5. So I'm going to put those two verses in there. But it says, happy, blessed or happy, blessed are the meek, for they shall possess the land. Or blessed are they who are meek, for they will inherit the earth, which is one of the more fundamental ways to say it, old school grandma ways to say it. All right, so I'm putting this one link in the chat so y'all can review that. But that fire they talking about, ooh, that fire. That fire that they talking about is the fire from the fiery spirits, the ministering spirits that'll be coming in this day and time, because we're going to be raining so much truth from the vocals that those that live a lie, practice a lie, they're not going to be able to withstand it. So Psalm 37:11 says, but the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. I'm going to add that into the chat too as well. So let's talk about it, because they have something called the rapture. And that's kind of what we've been hinting at a couple of weeks back and continuing till today. And the coming, the end of times, is basically what they, They call it. It's not mentioned in the Bible per se, but or the Book of Revelations. But this is what they call it. And those that are of the 144,000 with the name of God on their forehead, it says they will be taken up. And this is coming from Book of Revelations. So let's look into some things from that. And this is coming from Thessalonians 4:15. It says, "Those who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." Is this what the prophet was talking about? Because it don't necessarily say the rapture. It don't necessarily say the rapture, but it does talk about those that would be taken up. And it talks about putting seals on people to mark the people that will be taken up with certain names of God. And for some of us, we understand that to be the fiery teachings that have come from those that have incarnated on this planet. So we're not going to go through the whole principles of the Book of Revelation in one walk tonight, but I just wanted to mention that and go into little details about it, because we will slowly get back into the El's Holy Injiyl as well as El's Holy Qur'aan, which is also one of the things that we're supposed to read as the everlasting gospel, which is actually the everlasting gospel, with the prophet Circle 7 Holy Qur'an, cantonized version, which takes us into what takes us into the future for us to understand, the days that will be here with these missing pieces that were taken out of the scriptures or kept out of the scriptures, because like I said, some body of people don't want us to know the truth behind certain things. And so we have to really come together, like I say, get with those active Moors that are really reading, doing the work, taking action that needs to be taken. So read Revelations 6, 7, 8, and 9. That'll give you some details also as well. But let's jump back to some of these sayings from the prophet. The prophet said, one day every wheel of industry is going to stop, and when they start up again, it will be in the Asiatic's favor. Is that talking about 2022? And what happened? Because the prophet said in the year 2000, the Moors will come into their own. So when will all this take place? It say when the industry stopped. Sounds like what happened in 2020. Very much closely. And it sounds like we're getting closer to this time where the prophet said, one day you will go to the store and there will be soldiers there with guns, with bayonets on them, and they will not let you enter. They will order you to move on.
Sounds like
It also
food shortage. Excuse me.
right. That's right. They also said, the prophet said, one day the Europeans are gonna lock the food up in warehouses, put soldiers around them to guard them, and you will go anywhere he says to get something to eat. There you go.
Sadly enough, it seems like, the Most High, and it's not. I take that back. It's not sadly enough. It's more so the Most High is definitely trying to push his children to be independent and entrepreneurs because the system is causing many to, go into debt with student loans to become workers and not entrepreneurs. Um,
Talk about it.
it's like we're being groomed to consume and not think for self. So I always say be careful with your comfort because once you get too comfortable and you let someone else make the choices for you, you can't really complain where you go because you don't stand up for yourself. But the system doesn't teach you how to really stand up for yourself. The system doesn't teach you politics. The system more so teaches you arithmetic so that you can be on time for their schedules and not your own. They want you to give up your dreams and stop dreaming for yourself and for your family, but to walk in their dream and participate. And it's really important to figure out what you love, because if you follow your heart, then you're in the right place because God has a mission for your life, but you can't walk that mission if you're not being true to yourself. Ashe.
Sheik. Islam. And I say it a lot here, but I probably don't say it too much enough. But we are in the business of saving souls. I think I talked about this before. This is a business, and we got work to do. We work as much as entrepreneurs like to say you're not self-employed. Technically, you are, because somebody has to do the work. It doesn't matter if it's real estate. It doesn't matter if you're doing investments. You still have to work for yourself. You still have to manage, calculate risk, whatever part of the founder, the understanding of a founder may be. You still have to put in the work. So technically, you're still doing self-employed work, because that faith without work is nothing. It's dead. We know this. We understand this. And
But that free will that God gives us is the beauty of the story. Like we willed that goodness or we willed that picture that we never wanted to achieve. You know what I mean? So it's like that
hmm
free will, we can shape our own lives. And that's the beauty of life, is that life is what you make it. And if you don't show
well,
up for yourself, and then you can't really complain. But that's what I see around me. I see a lot of people complaining. I see a lot of people getting together talking about issues, but I don't see the execution. I still see the homeless on the street. You know what I mean?
That's right.
If we're really healing, then we can heal poverty. If we're really healing, we would have solved cancer by now.
That's right. That's
So
right.
now it's like, okay, well, we've marched, we've done a lot of things, but how many schools do we have? How many hospitals do we have? How many systems have we created that are successful?
Come on.
So the gathering of the people is so necessary. It's crucial to be on one accord on something.
That part.
I think the ultimate mission is to find your tribe, to find your audience, to find who you can commune with. Because if you don't, then you'll complain about how you're not communicating in a healthy manner. You're complaining about arguing, you're complaining about energy being not right, you're complaining about the temperature not being right, you're complaining
Talk
about the
about it.
food not being right. Well, let's talk about how we can make it right, where you get what you want and I get what I want. You know what I mean? You don't like
That's
onions, I like onions. What's good? Is the world coming is the world coming down because you know what I mean? So
I'm with
because of
one
onions.
trade.
So the arguments, like, that's our mission, to solve the problems, because I've realized that there is a learning curve of finding the traps. There's a learning curve because we're not passing the message down
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like we used to,
That's
by the
right. What a
campfire, and teach our own. And you know what I mean? So like that indigenous lifestyle, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but it's very precious because that type of lifestyle, you're really connecting to Mother Earth, which is connected to God, because God created Mother Earth so that we could have dominion over it.
mm.
But do you have dominion over hell or heaven? Because it's what you make it. It's the temperature.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can be a thermostat or a thermometer. A thermostat,
Mm.
you basically no, let me start over. A thermometer adjusts its temperature based on, you know, the surrounding. A thermostat, you can control the temperature, and everything has to adjust to it.
There you go. There you go.
So you're either going to be told or you're going to tell it. It's like, are you going to live your own life, or are you going to live the life they have planned for you? Hello.
Mm. That's
So building for self is okay. That's why it's good to be in a free land, but is it a really free land?
right. Right.
It
Right.
has the
That's a
potential to be, but the systems that are gaining momentum,
A lot of that has to do with
we're not paying attention
space.
to. Go
The,
ahead.
a lot of it has to do with space, and like something that was mentioned earlier at the beginning of today's sermon was about um, how the Moors are kind of scattered and not necessarily working together, and I think that has to do with genetic imprinting. So where you have the
mm.
colonizers having to work together in a certain way, you've had the Moors working in almost a different kind of way based on having a lot more authorship over the land and waters. And I think the waters being that there's what 70% of the water on Earth, looking at that as being this expansive, wild space, a lot of depth unknown, and that's the challenge of I looking at each individual Moor as being part of that versus being part of the land in this moving idealism based on working with that, colonizing, colony mindsets versus the world. And so now that we're online dealing with space, the advertisements aren't even on billboards while you're driving by. They're in your face, they're in your mind. So we're dealing with a much different kind of space that we have to start organizing, no different than than the colonizers have organized space in developing the road systems and the up to the cell phones and communicating digitally and with the cloud. But also looking at, okay, well, now we have the whole world and there's 70% water, and there's ether, and there's a knowledge, and there's things that people know, that everyone wants to speak at the same time. And so space and organizing space is super important, and I just wanted to share that. And thank you.
That was
Sheik.
beautiful. That was beautiful. Organizing the space is definitely key. As you were speaking, I heard in my mind, order to the court. Order to the court. Stand on your square and show up for self. So yeah, if you don't have order, you got what? A lot
Chaos.
of chaos. Okay? What about organized chaos? Departments of chaos. Times a billion.
Y'all drove it home.
Doesn't that sound like the blind leading the blind?
That's right. That's right. Let the dead
That's
bury the dead.
communication. That's communication, and communication is key. Okay?
Hey man, go ahead. I wouldn't cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was like, y'all driving it home. Y'all tickling me because I literally like that just affirmed what we just said. The prophet is moving in spirit. We don't got no script here. We moving in spirit, and the main thing I said, the main thing we're gonna talk about tonight is communication. I don't even think you heard that, Noble Simone, and I don't even know if Jonathan heard it because I don't know how long he
I
was in the
heard
room.
it.
Oh, you heard when I said we're gonna talk about communication tonight?
Yes,
Oh,
but in my own life today, that was the message in my life and at work. We were talking about communication today. So the synchronicities are there. When you definitely come, true to where you want to go in life and you're trying to find this balance and alignment, you find these beautiful synchronicities of communication. There is an aroma of growth, of harmony, of unity, of love, because it wants to expand. It's like a seed. It wants to expand. That is its essence. That is our essence. Evolution. Because we learn from failure, we learn from success. There's two.
that's right.
You know what I mean? That duality is so important. That singularity is so important. Singularity is important. Duality is important. But what about the Trinity? You know what I mean? So that means there's stages in evolution.
Yes.
And so you have to understand where you are in your evolution. Well, we all here in this room, we know that we're not 5 years old. That's common sense. Moving along, we know we're not teenagers. So we know we're not new to the game, but we don't know it all, right? So we're here all searching for enlightenment, more truth, more love, like showing up for the success of the next generation. Because the previous generation did a works to set us up with the knowledge to be able to come together to get today. The preparation that was made before us is allowing us to be able to communicate well right now.
That's right. Right.
So what do you do with it? You can't get stuck in just talking about it. The action, the manifestation. Because it's like church. It's like they can turn on the music and they're like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na, you know what I mean? Batman. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. But come on.
Yeah, they be clapping it up. I'm with you.
Okay. Little joke there. But for real though, if you really build in and you're really on the right path, you have a garden or you're growing something or you're keeping something alive. You know what I mean?
Right.
A
Yeah.
plant, something. That's where you start. Like, how do you get started? How do I get connected back to God? Well, God's within. And aren't you alive? And aren't you grateful for your grandmother and your mother? So then you have a responsibility to give life to something else. Whether it be you give life to a situation that looked really stale at work or at home or in someone else's situation where it's like, man, I'm late for this appointment, but this young person seems like they could use my wisdom. So I'll be late for my meeting and I'll give them these words. You know what I mean? It's a choice. That's how you sow seeds. But you should also grow your garden. Because before we had hospitals, we healed ourselves with the herbs in our backyards.
That's right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So it's like, how do you get started? Just get back to the basics. Okay?
We had
Don't get
community
caught
healing.
up. Don't get caught up in the internet. Don't get caught up in surfing. Like intelligence, the internet, the AI. Intelligence is important. Gathering information is important, right? Remember how we talked about singularity, the duality, and the trinity? So you have to be able to compartmentalize when you should do your data research, when you should have your spiritual time, and when you should grow your garden.
That's right.
Please
That's
remember
right.
that. Forever
I'm
and
glad
ever
you.
remember that.
I'm glad you said that because that's also a key thing about communication, especially communicating in spirit. Because as I say all the time about being here on Fridays and on Sundays, but more so Fridays, because there's a space and time that opens, like a vortex or a portal that opens up for us every Friday, every cipher around the sun, in those 7 days, and the importance behind those 7 days and what happens on that seventh day. Now, Egyptians used to have a 10-day calendar, but it's still kind of operating on the same functions as what we do today in the 7-day calendar. But that 7th day, and the mental reservoir that's open on this day is a part of communication. It's a part of the windows of space, and just like you got windows on a computer, it's about those windows for those particular planes that open up as we gather on these specific days. And this is why it's kind of good to do certain things on certain days, like Monday, which would be considered the moon day, Tuesday, which would be considered Mars, so it's kind of good to create strategies and things like that. um so Friday, uh being a day of Venus, a day of love, is good that we come and gather in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and unity. So we sending that signal, up as well. So that really touches heavy on communication, and especially with us being here on this particular day, or even if we was in person, for all those that are in person gathered up on this holy day that are doing the same thing. Even on Saturday with Family Day, we're showing, you know, that that unspoken level of communication just by showing up. And that is also powerful in itself as well, because we can send a message up to God, but when those messages get sent back down, are we in the space to receive it as we are tonight? And it's different than just the pastor or the leader of the congregation, or the senior pastor, whoever that's speaking, um to be the one getting those messages, versus us being in a space like this social audio networking app, which allows us all to kind of speak up, speak out, and communicate and participate in the lecture, in the sermon for the night. And we all tap into the same frequency and let the divine speak through us and create that synchronicity, and that singularity. And for us, of the ancient ones, the three, tap into the three great realities of things, the three great lights, as we would call them, and really bring it into the forefront of what we're doing. It it really brings it home, that good old everlasting gospel home, because the gospel is a form of communication. It is communication. We're speaking the etherical message, and that's what the gospel is. For some, they participating in the lower frequency of it, but and for them it becomes gossip. But for us, we're speaking in the etherical pools, and we tap into that pool, just like the pool in your neighborhood. It opens up at a certain time, closes at a certain time. So that pool, you know when it's at its most potent, it opens up at a certain time, and it kind of shortens up the window after that time. So like I said, we here every week, we catching that window, and we allow the divine to speak to us. Because I didn't know y'all caught that about the communication part, because I'm like, we're gonna drive it home with communication tonight. And look how it go.
Yep. Communication is definitely key. We're on the right path. Taking one day at a time and not rushing is what I'd say to the audience. You're in the right place. If you don't know which way to go, just keep going forward. We're not born with all the answers, but I'm grateful for the room to find my way. I am grateful for free will, and I thank God for meeting me when I show up and I'm seeking. I thank God for showing me signs and wonders. Like the sun. Come on. I think that we take for granted the little things. But once we start to come together on small things that are actually the big things, once we come together on something, that's when the change begins. And it really starts at home. It really starts with yourself. Before you can help your kids, before you can help your associates at work, before you can help people in the church, you have to heal and you have to help yourself. So, take that extra time to laugh if you're down. Take that time to go on a walk if you know what I mean? Like, get back to
Right.
nature, because that's the real church. Like, as above, so below.
Maybe want to play a little Kirk Franklin tonight. Who know how to sing up in here? Because I'm not singing. I can't
And
sing.
um, you know, the young man said that 70% of water we are made of, and so is the earth. There are signs for us to understand who we ever get lost.
That's right. That's right.
I think that is so beautiful. So if the earth needs the sun to purify its waters and to bring down the rain and to keep the balance and to shake the things that need to be shaken. I feel like shooken's not a word.
That's, if I may, that's interesting that you speak on that, sister, because I take care of my grandmother, and she's very dehydrated, and a lot of the times I try to communicate with her about the communication between her and that symbiotic being that we call water. Because whether we know it or not, that's a being, that's a live living being as well that helps us to live. And if we don't have communication with water, boy, we over. It's over. Just like they say you can go days and days and days and days uh without food, right? Like even months, even you can go without food, but you can only go 3 days without water. And of course, you can't go but a few minutes without air. So I mean, when you think about that, and it's scientifically known that if we don't have a regular communication, a regular relationship with the sun, you will go insane. You will go insane. That's already proven fact. So
That's
that
right.
all those communications are very important. Very important. Communicate with your so in other words, you have to be in high communication with yourself, so that way you can allow your body to communicate with the elements that it needs on a daily basis. And with that, I think that's the real quote of communication rules the nation, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
So if
Yes.
you're not in high communication of self, then how can you govern yourself accordingly? With that, I yield. Excuse me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I read the literature from the prophet called the tongues. I don't know if y'all caught that earlier, but that was what the drawing was earlier, and how we illustrating tonight is beautiful. It really is, cause I ain't even thinking about it, cause I'm over here reading and just doing a sermon. I'm in my flow. You know, I guess they got me on a graceful pace tonight, so I'm just in flow, and I ain't even know Simone and Noble Kaba stepped in the room. I'm just flowing, and I thought well, I didn't even know Jonathan was in the room either. Brother Jonathan was in the room either, because like I said, I was just in flow. And I think I mentioned that when I was doing the reading, so I didn't think people was in the space. At least it didn't show up on my PTR when I was doing the weekly reading. And by the time I jumped into the literature, to really touch on the tongue part, because how we communicate with each other is very important. And like I said, the past 2 weeks, we got to really get with active Moors, like people that's really committed and really coming in action and active activity, because Moors are active, not passive, as the prophet says. Somebody was about to say something.
I was just gonna say something about the water again. I read somewhere a while back about how water, if like a planet was destroyed, or if um, like the living entity that would be left over would be water. So basically, water would be able to travel through space and make it to another planet one day somehow, or that's potentially what like comets are. You know, what I mean, it's the thing that really can't be destroyed, that has that living essence. And that's where we're, if you look at it based on the evolutionary views of evolving over thousands of years and millions of years, whatnot. And I think that's where like there's a big challenge in the churches and the spaces and the waters, getting a little bit disrupted over that kind of communication. But we're online, and we should be able to communicate. The
Because
depth.
they understand. Let me tell you, they understand because the way they speak is under maritime law.
Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
So
Let's talk about it.
it's more so what happened was I'm going to condense this. The knowledge was had, the knowledge was stolen, the knowledge was burned, and the knowledge was hidden from the masses. And now the veil is being lifted, and that is, in my opinion, the end of an age, the last days, where the masses won't be sleepwalking anymore. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. I want to touch on something here because the prophet, I hope I ain't skipped too far past it. Let me see. The prophet said something real peculiar. And I hope I ain't moved too far past it. Let me see. Because this is it's funny because, man, we just went through the part about the last days, and I just came across one of the sayings from the prophet. Here you go. This is a parable coming from the prophet. He said, I remember when I was on the soul plane. I remember when I was Noah. I want y'all to let that sink in right there. I remember when I was Noah. Noah was a carpenter, and he built the ark. When the flood came, men came swimming out to the ark and knocked on the door and said, Noah, Noah, let us in. And I told them, the door is locked. And an angel came and took the key away. Woo. So they said, or from the prophet standpoint, this means that, those who know where the seat of salvation is, but do not come up and join, basically the Holy Tabernacle, Zion, right? Because of their fidelity to falsehood and practicing a lie and worshiping the ideals of men. But I really want to drive that home because the prophet say he remember when he was Noah. Y'all know where I'm going with this one. And we're talking about being in the last days. We're talking about the water. We're talking about, right, maritime. And there was a flood, right, during that time of Noah. And we understand that we here are the tents of Shem, right?
Right.
And Malachi came and warned us about the last order of Malachi and who would be setting up this grand or this global body of anointed ones to connect us as the remnant in this day and time. Because the prophet said that we just read earlier, or went over earlier, that he can only count a few who are gonna make it, and he'll still have fingers left on his hand. So if we understand we repeating history, we already have witnessed the prophetical things that we have done through this particular branch temple, especially with creating world currency, and that being a prophecy of the Dead Sea Scrolls, because we had no clue, especially me growing up in my pre overstanding days, had no clue that we would be the ones creating something called world currency and using that title. And as a teacher talking about somebody will be creating world currency, Dr. Richard Strange or Dr. Strange. And yes, it is possibly where they get the Marvel character from, or the movie character from, Doctor Strange, mentioning about the Dead Sea Scrolls and these currencies. And then we're witnessing spirit talk to us and communicate through this air, because this is also oxygen, not oxygen, but it is also water, because you got to have hydrogen to have the oxygen. So I wanted to, harness in on that a little bit, because it struck me when I read it. I'm like, oh, the prophet said he remembered when he was Noah. That's wild. And then we get the master teacher, come and wake us up with the understanding of the ancient ones. So we understand that Noah is also new in you as well. And that take you even further, especially when we're talking about the etherical chaotic waters, and we're talking about water, maritime. And if we take it back even further to the book of Genesis, we should understand that the firmament was bodies of water that was separated on a macro scale. Acidic waters were separated from the alkaline waters, especially as I put it in the clear vision scroll for us, so we could have clear vision about these things that are taking place in this day and time. But this is some
Pause 1 second. What did you say about the acidic and the alkaline?
right, because the firmament are bodies of water. So when it says I will separate the firmament, that was saying, it was basically saying in modern day terms or layman terms, that the acidic waters was separated from the alkaline waters.
You know what that means?
Go ahead.
It's the pH scale. So, based on my research, God's children are very familiar with talking in code.
Talk about it.
Because they knew about the future prosecutions and what we would have to endure for having said knowledge. The pH scale in the middle is 0, and to the left is like -7, and to the right is +7. That's mathematics, and it's also harmonics. It's music.
Talk about it. Come on. Let's talk
The
about it.
pH scale is the presence of hydrogen, which is needed to be a organic cell, a living biological thing. It means life. That
Right on.
is amazing. because it takes heat to keep a thing living. Some things. Wow. Say it again. Say it again.
Oh, I'm about to read it to y'all.
The firmament was another kind of water. What? Say it again. Run it back. Run it back. Exactly how you said it. No, I need it one more time.
Look, I'm about to read it. I'm looking for it in the I'm about to put the scroll in the room. I'm gonna add the scroll.
Wow.
I'm about to add the scroll to the chat.
Because I don't know if I finished explaining it. The pH is acidic and alkaline, which is the balance that we have. We possess both of them. We have alkaline and acidic. So an example of something that's acidic is sugar. Too much sugar can rotten your teeth. It can put holes in your teeth, right? But the alkaline is on the right side of the spectrum. So acidic is the negative side of the pH scale. So what is the pH scale? The pH scale means that, I guess, and I think I'm pretty close to it, but like most biological things have a level of chemistry, whether it be positive or negative, like a battery. And so you can, through chemistry, you can figure out if it's acidic or alkaline, which just means it's in the negative or it's in the positive. And so our body sits on, I think, a 5.5.
Yeah,
between
5.5, 0.6. Yep.
And 7 is a healthy body. I believe 7 might be the healthiest, but isn't that ironic?
That's right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Wow. Can you read the that firmament thing again? Because it sounded like code to me. I just need you to read it again.
I put it in the link in the chat. I'm going to it right now, trying to find where I actually put that part in. Where I put that in the scroll, because let me see. I want to be able to send y'all there too as well, so we could really go in on this. But yeah, this is all right. Let me see. Okay, so all right, I said listen to reason. Let me make sure this is it right here. Nah, hold on. That's not it. Let me see. Give me a second. Hold on. I thought it was in the beginning of the book. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, but it is, I know it's in scroll, it's in 103, Tefnut. So you gotta scroll down till you get to that part. All right, here we go. I found it. So it's on page, it's on 103, Tefnut. You would have to go down, because it's 101, chapter 101, 102, 103, called Ablution, or the cleansing of Tefnut, or ablution of water. And it's gonna be on the 4th page. It's twice in here. This is the first time I said it. I said, listen to reason. Anetarat, meaning deities. Tefnut, deity of moisture and symbolic of water in the circulatory system. The Tamaraean word tef means to spit out or to ex, expectorate. Also, Nut, who is symbolic of the sky deity in the uterus in Gurum or ancient Tamaray. Nut is also the daughter of Tefnut, who gave birth to Geb, deity of earth. She is the consort and wife of the Natir, Shu, or the deity of the air, who both are children of the Natir, Atum. The third Adam, who is Ansha, deity of the foremost heavens, and Kisha, deity of the foremost firmament. Remember, the firmaments were separated in the heavens. So that's when I mention it there. And then I mention it again here. Let me read this part. Give me a second to get back to it. Okay, here we go. All right, I gotta go. Oh, it says, there is water in the heavens as stated in El's Holy Torah, genes of Isis 1:1, during the Bara or procreation period of the planet Earth. These Elohim Anunnaki reconstructed two places up there in the sky where there is water. The Anunnaki created a quarantine called the firmament between the planets Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Jupiter. It was separated by the Anunnaki Elohim and the genes of Isis, verse 6, El's Holy Torah, in El's Holy Torah, separating the alkaline Kakayel water from its acidic Samael, meaning poison dose of El, opposite. Yep. So I put it in the clear vision scroll, and I went into detail also some more, so that way y'all can put two and two together. But the firmaments was separated, so we know that's a body of water according to El's Holy Torah, and so those two firmaments were separated, the alkaline waters from the acidic waters. And you'll also see what you brought up too as well in here, Noble, because I go in saying each neophyte will begin to see his or her spiritual gifts and powers develop and enhance along our journey back to the all. The non-spiritual gifts are words of wisdom, words of knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discernment, multilingual, circumcision, or control of your tongues, right understanding, sound right wisdom. Isn't this not what we're talking about tonight? It said, verse 44 says, in Webster College Dictionary, for the word power is the ability to do, act, or produce something. It also means a spirit or a divinity. 45, the Luciferian beings, Anunnaki, are acidic beings, acidic base beings, according to the power of hydrogen. 46, this is why it is important to understand the power of the circulatory system, inhaling and exhaling, and how to understand the basics of divinity and how we have failed. 47, disease starts in the mind. This means to go against. 48, ease, it is the simplest form for the word easy. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Anu is not the author of confusion. Alkaline-based beings, Anunnaki, are those angelic beings that exist in a healthy state of mind and realities known as the three great realities. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna leave y'all with that right there, but y'all can read the book. Y'all can read the book. And I wrote.
That's the clear vision scrolls.
Yeah, that's the clear vision scroll right there.
Yeah. I remember that, man. That was very impactful. I haven't read it in maybe about 5 years now, but
It's been some time, huh?
Yeah,
But you
yeah, yeah.
see, if y'all see it, if you I don't know if y'all went to the link is in the chat.
Now,
The
when
last link.
you reading it, it started resonating, started kicking the DNA back in, and and that makes a lot of sense. So, in other words, it's like this: what I got that right now is, and I didn't catch it back when I actually read it, is basically just like everything's being separated right now. You're gonna have your negative beings that are automatically are drawn to that acidic life, and they bring that acidity into their nature. And then you're gonna have the other beings that are more alkaline, and they bring that more positivity into their nature.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
I'm just using my common sense. I'm not digging too deep into it. I'm just, I'm just
Yeah,
going what resonates and what is.
keeping it plain Jane. That's right. 2 plus 2. Keeping it
That's as
fundamental.
above, so below. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your extremes and you've got your non extremes. You've got your balanced and you have your non balance.
It's interesting because alkaline water, like the purest water or the cleanest water, before they started polluting the skies, actually came down from the heavens, right? What we call the sky or whatever you want to call it, and it cleanses the earth. Now, I'm not saying that there's no alkaline water here, but it's a different process. After the water gets acidic and everything, and then gets drained down, it goes to a process of filtration through the earth, and then it comes back up into its alkaline form, you know,
Mm-hmm.
drinkable and
Mm-hmm.
able to cleanse us again. So it's just interesting. I'm just noting.
That's reverse osmosis.
Talk about it. Come on, let's talk about it.
When you allow the precipitation or like the sweat, you know what I mean? That's how
Mm-hmm.
you get that clean water. You get it from the air, really. Because there's land water and then there's air water, which is rain, really.
Yep, and it's doing that right where I'm at right now with the drizzle. True peace, brother Brian. True peace, brother Matt. So I don't know if that drove tonight home for y'all, but and y'all know I'm not the one to promote my stuff too much like that, but I mean it pertained to the conversation at hand, and just like I said, when I read the part about the prophet saying, um, he remembered when he was on the soul plane. He remembered when he was Noah. He said Noah was a carpenter. Let's keep waking it up real quick. Who else was a carpenter, y'all?
Yeshua, the one that they refer to as Jesus.
Yes.
Hmm. So did not we just say that the prophet came in the spirit of Yeshua? And who would Noah be in that day and time? Would he be another form of Tammuz or Yeshua if he was appointed to be the savior of humanity during that time? And he was told to keep certain genetics with him and made sure he had those species in the boat, right? Or as we understand.
According to the readings in the Bible, excuse me for cutting you off. I didn't mean to, but this moved me, man. According to what it says of the order of Melchizedek in the Bible in Hebrews, I am you and you are me. So that in itself goes to show that each one of the prophets that came in its right influence and its right order, those that came walking righteously, proper path, we all are walking the same path, and I am you and you are me. That's plain as daylight.
It's like a renewing of the mind
There you go.
and becoming a new creation.
There you go.
That's how. When
You
you
got to be
start to
reborn.
seek the
Yeah.
knowledge, like God will meet you halfway, but He's like, hey, you gotta show up a little bit. Like, I can't do it all.
That's what evolution is for. It's helping us.
Yes.
Right, brother Brian. True peace, no.
Yes.
Thank you.
So think about this. Like I said, I don't promote. Y'all know me. I don't promote my own particular work, but like I said, it pertained to the day and time. And that book is a channeling book. If y'all actually read the scroll, that last link that's in the chat, you can copy it and paste it up and read through it, because that's a real channeling. And especially if you want to understand, get a quick. I wouldn't say it's too quick, because I did a compression of of the wisdom from the master teacher, of the different degrees and levels of the things that they said the master teacher didn't bring to us, and understanding the science of newlogy, from its theological standpoint. So that would be one of our thesis books, in accordance with all of the master teacher's work, and a continuation of the New Ethiopian Order book that I also authored, and the Templar Scrolls as well. I don't know if y'all have that either, or know about the Templar Scrolls, but the the Templar Scrolls is also giving you detail about the things that we'll be kicking up the temple with as we get further along in depthness here. But because we still walking through the beginning stages of what we're gonna be doing. The special things that we're gonna be bringing, and customs we're gonna be bringing to this branch temple number 24 of the Moorish Science Temple. And with that, let me give a real quick reset, y'all. For those coming back listening to the replay, and if you are in the room, and if you haven't already, go ahead click them gray block of words that's at the top there that say World Temple. Join us, and click the bell, so that way you could be with us every Friday and join us every Sunday for our newcomers gathering. And if you are a newcomer, please be here on Sunday, because just as well as we go over everything here about the divine creed and pronouncing your nationality. That's the best time to show up, because we go over the questionnaire and the temple 101s for all that are trying to learn about their indigenous standing, not just here in America, but globally. So that includes all Moorish Africans, Moorish Asians, as well as Moorish Americans, especially if you are looking for a temple home and a temple body. You might have got introduced to some paperwork from Moors or Native Americans, or American Indians, whatever they want to, whatever term they want to use. But you need a temple body, you need a temple home to actually, become a part and parcel of the government, because that is the structure that has been set up by us as indigenous peoples for a very long time, and it has been honored and recognized by the governments that we live today. And you want to come and link yourself with the family of nations through the temple, feel free to do so. Just click that gray block of words at the top that says World Temple. We are a global branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I'm sorry, but branch temple number 24 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are a chartered and incorporated temple. So come learn the truth about your nationality and your birthright. And with that, like I said, I don't do too much gloating or anything like that. Just putting out. I wouldn't be gloating, but it'll be marketing. But I don't do too much marketing and sales. But like I said, it hit home for tonight, and I wanted to make that uh, you know, make that kind of known in the calculations of the things we discuss in here, because there's heavy channelings that go into this information. Like I say, it is a channeling book. It will help you channel. It will help you channel and tune your tuning fork, because it's not just the worldly things that we supposed to live off, but the divine word. Like I say, man can't live off bread alone, but the word that proceeded from the mouth of the Lord. And so with that, y'all have a channeling book that goes right in along with the sacred records that we hold as Nubians. If you already have access to those, you should be, steady and consistent reading of those sacred records. But I take those sacred records as well as the information that we are supposed to be teaching here, and specialized in here in this particular branch temple as eulogies for the global village and the future of the global village, because we have to be healers of the mind, and our people need those angels that are standing at all four corners to help assist with tapping back into the divine mind, that mental reservoir, like I mentioned earlier, which is the reason why we come here every Friday. And we take up space and make sure we keep that consistency, and we keep that etherical cord tight, or we hanging on to the rope tight knit, because every Friday there's a particular window, and the potency of that window is opened up. And if you want to learn more about what I'm saying, become an adept, become a minister, because for for those of you that will be participating in that fiery ministry, that people make reference to as the end of time, because they say the world will be destroyed by fire, which is talking about nuclear fire, but also that fiery message that comes from us and every minister. So, you know, you can join us by clicking that link that's pinned up there at the top of the room. We got our free course, Civics 101, that we offer to people of the global village everywhere. It doesn't matter where you're from. We got people that come into this particular room from all over the world, from Africa, Asia, India. It don't matter. We didn't have people come in here, and I didn't even know, there's people that, well, I know that my name is out there across the seas, but I just don't know who be knowing, who be actually knowing me, and be sitting in the room sometimes, and they be knowing of my works, and they really respect us, they really love us, and for those that are real close to me, y'all got to take heed, because it might the people sitting right next to you might not get the message, but there are people across the world that have seen our works, that are giving reverence to the things that we have done. And with that, we got to be on top notch, top knit, in our poise, and just in our focus. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and touch some more on that link that's pinned up there at the top of the room. You can join the Civics 101 course, as well as us, for those that are ministers such as myself and Brother Kaba and others in the room. We have a ministry 101 for those that are looking to learn the sacred degrees that avatars or the divine prophets such as Yeshua HaMashiach and others have been through and went through, to know these great realities that spoke upon in the reading that I just read from the Clear Vision Scroll, and just other in-depth knowledge that lines up so perfectly that you have no choice but to submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the Natiru, or whatever you would like to refer the divine spirits as and souls as. So with that, like I say, click that link that's pinned up there to the top of the room. We go over civic virtues in the Civics 101, which are the cultivation of our temple customs, or our indigenous customs, as Sister and Noble Simone mentioned earlier. We got to keep that etherical link and hold on to the rope, because every day we continue to get caught up in the acidic life, we're losing control, and we're losing a handle on our indigenous ways of living. And so this is why we have a official charter coming from the prophet himself, and not really trying to reinvent the wheel with the Moorish Science Temple of America. We let our customs do that for us. We don't have to reinvent or change anything that the prophet laid down, because everything the prophet did was right and exact. So we also have to go over here in this room a little bit, later, but we also every week touch on our civic engagement, which is a process that we have to talk about uh, when it comes to just how we address things of public concern, public issues, things that are going on. And one of the main things we're going to talk about here after I go through this and these holy instructions is this Biden situation, this most recent situation with President Biden, and kind of get some feedback from y'all and how y'all feel about that, and how that pertains to us, just going through these prophetic times. So we have our holy instructions for those that, like I said, would like to learn how to join and become a part of the Royal Council and or a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and in particular this branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because whether you are a guest or a prospect member, this is home. If you're a rogue, especially for all the rogue Moors out there in the internet world or just in the world period, and you don't have a branch temple, but all that you can about the Moorish Science Temple of America, or you've been looking for a tribe and you've been looking for a tribal home or a home of indigenous peoples that are actually tied to uh a respectable structure, especially the structure that the prophet has put in place and that has been acknowledged on a global standpoint, especially here in America. um the Moorish Science Temple is actually a sub-administrative body of the United States government, and we have the authority to fix you up with with the right type of indigenous standing, just by becoming a member of the temple, and proclaiming your nationality is free. Doing that status change thing that everybody is trying to get a grasp of, that is free. Changing your political status, as I mentioned last week, that is free. You got to understand theology, the not theology, but the theocratic structure that the prophet put in place. You got to understand the theocratic structure that the prophet has put in place, and how it pertains to your political status, because being a Moor is very, very important. Like I said, you can still end up a ward of somebody's state globally. It doesn't matter, even if you are a Moor, but you have the indigenous rights and all of these different things that are being put in place for the disenfranchised indigenous peoples. And so you want to take advantage of those things, and be a part of a theocratic body that has the administrative authority to assist you and make a lot of things happen for your benefit, your family's benefit, even your local community's benefit. And as the prophet said earlier, as we went over, wherever there's a Moor going into a church or religious sanctuary, that place becomes a temple. So wherever you go, it becomes a temple. And we have our program here uh in this particular branch temple through our own temple laws and temple customs. So with that, let's go over these holy instructions, because Friday is the holy day, O ye who knew. When the call is proclaimed to supplication on Friday, the day of assembly, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of the Heavenly Father and Divine Mother, and leave off business and traffic. That is best for you if you but knew. And when prayer is finished, then may ye disperse through the land and seek the bounty of God, and celebrate the praises of God of 10 and without stint, that ye may prosper. So we all understand that is a holy instruction for Friday to be here. This is in El's Holy Qur'aan, as well as in the Qur'an Circle 7, and mentioned in the divine laws and constitutions. And we are a theocratical body politic. And with our customs in this temple, we are nucratic. We have a nucratic structure, which takes things globally. We are a global branch temple. So it doesn't matter if you're whatever part of the world you're coming from, you can proclaim yourself as a as a true Moorish American, true Moorish Asian, or true Moorish African. And we really help the indigenous peoples wherever they are at to form a body politic under their theocratic structure, as we have always been seen as Moors and as the true nobility or the civilization builders across the world. So with that, let's talk about how to join and get involved with the temple. We all know that all chaplaincy, temple services, and meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is our holy day for all Muslims and peacemakers all over the world. And this is according to Act 2 of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, as I just stated. And all temples and subordinate temples are to conduct holy day service every Friday, starting promptly at their respective time and ending promptly at their respective time. All civilians, patrons, denizens, prospects, and ministers are expected to attend temple for the Friday Holy Day temple service and meeting. On Fridays, the Moorish American, Moorish Asian, and Moorish African Muslims and peacemakers all come together to supplicate and to illustrate that which God Allah has blessed them with. The meetings and temple services are to be open according to divine love, true peace, freedom, and justice. At no time shall templars, adepts, ministers, patrons, or outside congregational guests be allowed to disrupt the holy day service, nor will civilians be admitted under the influence of alcohol or any severe intoxicants. Especially if you're trying to come on stage, go ahead and click that gray block of words up at the top, or the green mansion, whatever one you see that says World Temple, and join us so we can bring you up on stage. But if you are under the influence of alcohol or any other intoxicants, you will not be allowed up on stage to communicate and speak. So all civilians that are attending the holy day service, you must have your head covered with either a turban, fez, or kufi, or some other spiritual covering. Baseball cap should not be worn in the temple. So don't be, in this particular time and space, dressed all hood. Unless you're somewhere where you're not able to do such. But this is why this is a consecrated time of the day and moment. So just make sure you got your spiritual covering on, and treat it as if you was actually in the physical shrine. And even when we in the physical shrines together in IRL, in real life, that will not be permitted. So understand the temple structure. The Sunday school meeting is mandatory, and all Moorish nationals and temple denizens must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school. And the teacher must conform himself and herself to the Temple 101 questionnaire, and let every civilian, man, woman, and child exercise his or her 5 senses who is able to do so, because from out of your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation, and now the entire global village, y'all. So according to Act 5 of the additional laws by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, every subordinate temple should have 2 Sunday school meetings held. The first meeting should be held 1 to 2 hours before the adult service. Children's school, Sunday school, should be conducted by the director of the children's Sunday school and programs. The Sunday school meeting is not designated, but designed to assist the members in learning the Temple 101 questionnaire and developing an understanding of what these holy keys mean and how they ought to be applied to our everyday lives. The Divine Constitution, along with the Moorish prayer, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, El's Holy Injiyl, El's Holy Qur'aan, and these civic 101 lessons of the Holy Temple of Moorish Science are also subjects of major concern for all students who is trying to complete his or her mandatory requirements for pronouncing their temple civilianship and their global nationality. So understanding these principles is, because anybody could be a global citizen, but that doesn't mean you are a civilized global citizen. This is why we have the opportunity to learn Civics 101, as well as learn how to, be a part of the global, the global school system that we have, the global school district that we have. You also have the opportunity to get a certification and being an actual global citizen, and take the courses that have been put in place by special agencies of the United Nations, which we are one of the global schools that participate in that program. And you can join that through us. Just DM me the link, Global School District, on my Instagram. Go to my Instagram and DM me Global School District, and I'll get you involved. Before December, I think, is the last cohort that we're having with that. So all lessons for the adult Sunday school classes, they must be prepared by the Grand Sheik as the divine minister or the assistant Grand Sheik. These lessons called by us of the school are additions. They're called additions. They may be submitted to the student for completion and returned to the temple. Once the lessons are completed and graded, they must be placed in the active members temple district file. So the prophet told us to set up schools, and that's what we got, y'all. We got our own school systems, not school classes on Udemy or somebody's academy structure. This is an actual school system where we can set up elementaries, high schools, academies, whatever we want to structure. That needs to be set in place, which is one of the things the prophet said in the prophets, the oral sayings and prophecies by the prophet. So once the lessons are completed, I'm sorry, I went over that already. But once those lessons are completed, they will be put in that temple members file in the school system. Sunday school temple service and meeting is a wonderful opportunity to study the liturgy teachings of the prophet, as we just went over some of those teachings. No civilian is to become disruptive during the Sunday meeting. All Templars must bring paper and pen to the temple service and meeting, and along with the basic temple literature and assignments. No Templars or patron is to eat food or other snacks during the temple service or meeting, but water is permitted. All Templars must attend their Sunday temple service and meetings as diligently as they attend their holy day temple service and meeting. Both were called out for by the noble prophet Juali, and is required as a matter of law. And that's according to the Divine Constitution, Act 7, which it says, all Templars must promptly attend their temple service and meeting and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and now also Moorish Science Temple of Africa and Moorish Science Temple of Asia and adjoining world islands on behalf of all indigenous peoples. So for memberships, all heads of temples of any temple jurisdiction are not to charge for naturalization or to overcharge for cards, buttons, or anything issued by and through the prophet, as I mentioned earlier. Those who contribute to any of the proceedings are not Moors, civilians, or patrons, but robbers. But they are robbers. Your temple nationality and membership in the Holy Temple's vast estate, which is also called a public beneficiary trust, my sisters and brothers, kin and kinfolk, it is free, not only here, but all over the world. All kin and kinfolk desiring to become a civilian of a subordinate temple must read the messages coming from their temple secretary and download their application for naturalization. The secretary of your temple's jurisdiction will help all newcomers by explaining the naturalization application for your membership of the temple's vast estate or public beneficiary trust. For the new prospectors of the temple's vast estate, and arranging for him or her to be consulted by the royal council of the said temple or subordinate temple. The royal chairman or woman will set the date for the new temple prospect to be interviewed by the royal council. The new temple court civilian, upon completion of the royal council's consultation at the newcomers' gathering on Sunday, the new Templars will proclaim their temple nationality at the next upcoming holy day meeting. After the new civilian prospect proclaims his or her nationality, they will be given the mandatory requirements necessary to earn their free national name and royal title of nobility as a true American royal. And why we say earned? Because you have to show thyself studied and approved. Studied and approved. We got away from our indigenous structure. And these requirements are as follows, and in accordance with chapter 47 of the Moorish Circle 7, Holy Qur'an, Egypt, the capital dominion empire of Africa, the Moorish prayer, chapter 25 of the Moorish Qur'an, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, the 101s of the Qur'an questions for Moorish Americans, Asians, and Africans, the divine constitution and bylaws, and the additional laws from El's Holy Torah, El's Holy Injiyl, El's Holy Qur'an, the Holy Tabernacle Family Guide, and also the Holy Tablets, which is being taught through our global interdependent school district that we have, and our sacred halls of learning that we call New University here for everyone of the global village. So once a new civilian or template has learned these lessons verbatim, he or she will be interviewed by the Royal Council as the chaplaincy to determine if to determine if the new civilian is qualified to represent himself or herself as a faithful Moorish American, Moorish African, or Moorish Asian, Muslim, or any indigenous peacemaker. Any indigenous peacemaker. And communicate it to the ignorant for their instructions, and communicate it to the wise for thine own improvement. So once the new civilian or template has cleared the mandatory requirements with the Royal Council, he or she will be naturalized by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister of the said subordinate temple. And that leads us to discuss the Holy Shahada. So this is how things were done in the past by us ancient ones, and this is how we continue to do things in the future. And some people will say, well, how do you build a empire or a civilization if everyone had to go through this process? Well, think about it. If we all done these shahadas or baptismals or nationality ceremonies even then in the past, how do you think we built these civilized nations? Because we made sure the person was civilized before they got involved with us. It got to make some kind of sense. Like they say, make it make sense, Jesus. Make it make sense. So you had your baptismal. It even it's even talked about from Egypt to also Yahshua and the order of Melchizedek, and even when they brought certain people to Rome when they got a hold of our structure of way of living. But let's talk about this Holy Shahada, which is the proclamation of nationality procedure and pronouncing of one's nationality, which will be held on Holy Day for all civilians, denizens, templates, peacemakers, or Muslims all over the world. And during the ceremony, the new civilian or templates will be ordained an El, Bey, or Day, and given his or her royal peerage title of kin, honorable, lady, noble, nin, naya, prince, or princess by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister, and also receive his or her nationality card and button from our Divine Minister of the Grand Major Temple. And upon conclusion of the nationality proclamation, the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister will have the civilian, templates, and temple prospect stand while he or she reads the authority of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It is by virtue of this document that can be found in Heard's revised statutes that gives the Moorish Science Temple of America, Asia, and Africa the authority to restore the nationality and birthrights of the lost Asiatics of America, Asia, Africa, and all world islands, and give them the title to their vast estate and their heritage. The Grand Sheik and or Divine Minister is to read from the card and have the new national state Allah is God and Noble Drew Ali the Prophet. And I am a Moorish American, African, or Asian, and or World Islander. This is our Moorish clarification of faith or Shahada and our national pledge of allegiance. The new civilian or templates free national names should then be added to the temple's book of life as they enroll in the Civics 101 course and World Civics Club, which we have in the school system as well. So when you enroll, you automatically are put into the World Civics Club, which is also a civics club that we created through the World Citizens for World Government. The nationality ceremony should be conducted by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister or any other Divine Minister so designated by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister in his or her time of absence, and most notably by the Assistant Grand Sheik and Divine Minister. Your nationality card and naturalization application must be signed bearing the name and title of the Divine Minister who issued the card and the date of its issuance. So the Religious Corporation Act has deemed us as a global interdependent school district and a incorporated and chartered Moorish Science Temple of America, Africa, and Asia as a religious trust and theocratic government that was officially established in 1928 on August 20th. This religious trust is the global trusteeship system for the Holy Family of Nations, which we are now forming it into a global nucracy through our temple laws and customs. So that is how you get involved and take your shahada up as a Moorish American, African, Moorish African, or Moorish Asian, and learn about your ancient divine creed. Unless you're still living in the village, still participating in these rites amongst some of the indigenous villages like Tanzania or the Tasmanian indigenous people that um, they went out and seeked out and um, kind of wiped out them as a population. But that's another story for another time. Uh, but it still pertains because they are still participating in some of these these ancient indigenous rites, if not all of them, still to this day, because they didn't get tampered with by modernism, that the levels of modernism that we have been tampered with are pulled into and pulled away from our ancient customs and understanding how we hold on to that rope of the Most High, of the divine. So with that, y'all, let's talk about what's going on in today's world. Did anybody hear about this Biden situation? Because I just heard it like right before I opened up the temple space, the clubhouse room, that they just put it on the news, y'all, that Biden and was caught up in the human trafficking of these babies. Did y'all hear about that? Anybody hear about that?
Yes, actually, when I saw the news clip, it actually stated that Hunter Biden, uh, that they found stuff on his laptop that implicated him with international human trafficking, and officially they're going to start doing a investigation on Joe Biden himself now.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's
yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's yeah. That's
It ain't funny, but ooh wee.
well, I mean, this is the
Ooh.
thing. This is the thing. This is the whole thing. Uh, the Treaty of Friendship and Peace, to where we leased off our Moorish help to them, was only supposed to last 50 years, and they made it last almost 500 years now. So that's past their extent. They killed most of the people that had anything to do with it, hoping that the rest of us would forget or not learn about it. And I mean, their time is up, because of course we know, man plans, but Allah is the best of planners.
That's
That's
right.
exactly what happened.
That's
Yep.
right. Yeah, because that. Go ahead. Somebody was saying something. Somebody gonna chime in. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just agreeing. That's about, based on my research. That's pretty much. There's a lot of different micro happenings over the last 100 years alone that kind of show brushing that under the rug because there was remnants. But yeah, it's been a lot of trying to get away from the foundations and with technology and all the information it's affecting people's mind space and their sanity, and so they're not in the right space and the right place, and at the same time, the Most High works in mysterious ways and everything's in its right place. So, yep.
That's right. Right.
But
Go ahead,
aren't
Samar.
we surprised?
Nah, not really. I'm with you.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
surprised. Because if Watergate happened, right?
Talk about it.
Watergate happened under whose administration? And then when was the gold liquidated?
Talk about it.
Under whose administration? Okay, the gold standard was rid of in Nixon's administration, and
Hmm.
Nixon is also responsible for Watergate. That situation just proves the potential of wickedness within leadership.
Yeah, especially
Potential.
American leadership.
It got out. But think about the things that didn't get out.
Yeah. And this is crazy because this is right after Donald Trump mentioned that he's gonna be joining in the 2024 race, and that starts now. The clock is ticking now because soon as 2023 hit, the campaign run it's on, and it's on for 2024. So we got some things that are gonna be coming out to the woodwork, y'all. We got some things that's coming out to the woodwork. Um, and I do want to acknowledge that the Kanye West thing, it did die down. I guess the past couple of days because I ain't really noticed many people talking about it as much as they was. But it was, going hyper crazy all over the internet for like a month. Like it's been like 2, 3 months, almost 3 months straight with the Kanye situation. Then the situation with Kyrie, popped up. As well as LeBron James getting involved, telling Kyrie he hurting people by speaking on some truths that needed to be spoken on, or at least acknowledged. From his standpoint, he felt. But how do y'all feel about the LeBron James thing, where he pretty much was giving the Kyrie, brother Kyrie, the shut up shrug? Because that's what it really came off like to me. Um, with what he was stating, like literally, hurting people for these so-called anti-Semitic statements, but we keep forgetting that we are the Semitic people. It's like, and a lot of our African brothers and sisters, they even forget that, the so-called I want to say Black Power branches of our people, or the RBG branches of our people. Even they forget, that we are these ancient people and ancient cultures. So how y'all feel about that?
People have always been prosecuted for telling the truth. Look at Jesus. But we're grateful that someone was brave enough to stand up for the truth.
Yeah, somebody said something, because like you said, shouldn't we expect it? Especially expecting a lack of um, truth to come out of superstars or people that are in the limelight, or controlled by some of these, some of these elitists, as the best way to say it. But you know, like it really kind of woke me up to the things that are really just taking place. And that's kind of the space that Clubhouse give people, is the ability for freedom of speech. So you have a lot of people that come together in the atheist rooms. They come together They Jewish rooms I done seen, different Hebrew Israelites, got a lot of different rooms. So it allows people that you wouldn't really normally, get to hear, just really come out and speak they speak their peace and the things on their heart. And that's that's one of the things about America is freedom of speech, which you know being silenced uh is one thing, but also the narrative being kind of drawn out is also another aspect, because it's made to seem as if secular people don't have that level of freedom of speech. But I think it's not a level of freedom of speech more so than the same level of notoriety or importance, because of priorities, things of priority that we have to address as as an economy of people. So I think that's really more so what it pertains to. Somebody was saying something. It looked like you, brother Brian. You trying to chime in?
No, sir.
Oh, okay, okay. I got you. So I think that's more so what it pertains to versus them, like the feminist movement and them not having the ability to speak out, or even like the Me Too movement. I think it's more so about getting notoriety and fame, and that's what we've witnessed over these past couple of years, versus just having the ability to speak out, because it's not like these plights have not been heard. Um, and they don't have their own particular spaces to be heard. I think it's more so that crave for the limelight, and now when the light is actually being shined, or that attention is being put on them, you just got a lot of people showing out, and abusing that attention, which is expected. But like I say, you find those different groups on here. Go ahead, Noble.
with the freedom of speech, we have no heaven or hell to put anyone in. I'll say it again. With the freedom of speech, we have no heaven or hell to put people in. I feel
I
as
love
though
that.
the two people you were mentioning, they're finding themselves. But it's like when you seek God, you, there's a scripture that says that while seeking God, you must die daily, or the flesh should die daily. So the the documentary came out and I watched it, and it was basically talking about how the Israelites were God's children, and they were scattered amongst the earth, and they would endure slavery in Egypt, and endure 400 years of slavery again through ships. That sounds like a very specific group. And that video was just a point of view with biblical facts to back it up. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, that's your choice. But at the end of the day, we have the freedom to figure out who we are. And unfortunately, the Native Americans and the African Americans, they're still trying to figure out who they are. That's the aftermath of what happened. Colonialism.
I love how you put
Dividing
that.
and conquering. So now the dust has settled. People are trying to just pick up the pieces. I think that at the end of the day, it shouldn't be too complicated. Help your brother. Love your brother as yourself. Like, we're all trying to pick up the pieces.
Ain't that?
So you never know what people are going through, but if you could be a blessing to someone else, like your neighbor, do it. But I think that God aligns the assignments. Whether you answer the call is up to you. Many are called, but few what?
You were chosen.
But how do you get chose? You choose you to be in alignment with the assignment. You know what I mean? You say yes,
Shay.
you say yes, and you say, man, I heard it so many times. I heard the calling and I didn't, and I saw how I could have. So, in everyone's walk,
That's
you just get a little bit more familiar with God's voice. Because sometimes we don't move when God tells us to move. So, the lack
right.
thereof, now you're like, man, and I knew it. Something told me, man. And you sitting there complaining. But you know what? Every failure means you're a little bit more familiar with God's voice. You knew where the misstep was. You knew how you didn't listen. It's just like raising kids. And you're
Right.
grateful. You're grateful when your child that you raise understand and overstand the lesson. Trying to get a child to eat vegetables, man. We sing songs, we do dances, we negotiate.
Now, on
Communication.
that system, I gotta tell you. Now,
What you
now
said?
we,
What you said? Eat these vegetables.
no,
What
no, no,
you?
no, no. I have 12 children, and only my first one, which I admit I was young, and I grew into my positivity, and she remained with herself. She loves her negative self. She admits it. So I mean, it is what it is. I can't change anybody. I can't help anybody that doesn't want to help. But in that, the rest of my children and their mothers, we learned a lot about, and it comes back to the beginning of this whole space. When we were talking in the beginning about communication, when I was communicating to my children about how important fruits and vegetables are, I mean, I have no problem with them eating fruits and vegetables at all. I have 5 boys living with me now, and they all are vegetarian, and they all love fruits and vegetables. If I were to bring up the thought and idea of, hey, how about we eat some fish? They're like, what? Fish? That's got blood in it. Oh no, that's got parasites in it. Like, they already are that educated now. So, I'm sorry if I took away from your point, but I just had to say that
Nah,
we,
yeah.
I
we feel
appreciate your point so much. Want to know why? Because it shows evolution. It shows there is another way.
right, right.
And so I'm saying for I know other mothers who have had challenges with getting their children to eat vegetables. It's
Yeah.
just a prize just to see a working house. You know what I mean? It's like how Jesus was like, "Hey, if you do it this way, you might get some success." You're a
Well,
success story. You have 5 boys who reach for the right thing
right,
without
right.
being forced. So
Yeah.
it's more so like the technique. What is your approach to be able to do it this way? It's the lessons because we're sending our children to public school and there's so many influences that you have to fight with. You know what I mean? Like the teachings of public school, and then you have to like
You know,
re-educate your kids. Are you
that
familiar?
comes with setting the example, sister. That comes with setting the example from day one. You have to set the example, and this is what a lot of the mothers do. They'll excuse me for saying, but and I'm saying mothers because I've seen this, witnessed it from the single mothers that I know. They live this life to where they pretend they're so busy that they can't take care of their child, which supposed to be their number one priority, or at least one of the top 5 priorities. Okay, and they will literally do everything else so they can say that this child is the priority, but yet at the same time, they're not putting that child in a category of priority. They'll go out there, they'll eat McDonald's, they'll eat these fast foods, and then they'll expect your children, because you cook this meal once or twice a week, and then you expect your child to eat a fruit and vegetable that you've never introduced to them, or you rarely introduced to them in their life, and then you expect them just to eat it like nothing when they haven't even seen you eat it in compliance and in positivity. I'm excuse me, but that's what I know. That's what I've seen myself. You.
So
I like that. I want to
yeah,
say one thing. As raising my children, one thing as a parent I learned before I point a finger of, is your room clean? Did you do your chores? Did you fold up your clothes? You know what I do? I make sure mine's done first. So if you want to lead them, you have to be able to set an example. I agree with you 100%.
that leads me into the next the last topic I wanted to bring up, what y'all saying, because this example that's being set, um this takeoff situation. I didn't touch on it last week because uh we touched on some other things, but you know this takeoff situation, me and brother Brian, we got a chance to talk about it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to get some feedback from y'all. How do y'all feel about that? And I'm not sure if y'all heard anything about the conspiracies or the conclusions that have been coming out, especially from the YouTube community. But what's y'all feedback on the whole takeoff situation? Do y'all feel it was a sacrifice, or what? Because a lot of these
I
rappers
don't
are
know what a
being
takeoff
killed.
is.
She don't know what a takeoff is.
I mean, I unplugged
You know who the
to
Migos
keep my
is, right?
balance and my spirit right.
You know
No.
the Migos. You know the rapper group, the Migos.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you don't know the Migos? I know you know Bad and Bougie. You got
I
her.
was.
See you laughing.
Go ahead,
I
Cobb. I know
unplugged a few years ago.
you had to do an extra unplug if you don't know who the Migos is. That was
I
my.
got.
Go ahead, Cobb.
It
I know you know.
was a sacrifice. Uh, like they said, he's got a $20 million contract on it.
Sheesh.
So, and I don't mean a contract. I mean like that was his life insurance from these boys, what they call the Lords of London.
Yeah, right, right.
So he's got a $20 million contract on him. So he's worth more dead to them than he would be alive. And
Woo.
I don't know if that was a sacrifice exactly, but I wouldn't put it past anything. Knowing the way these devils are moving, and man, they're trying to martyr side. They're trying to look. What I love right now in these days and times is that there are so many people. I'm not calling him a martyr or nothing like
Uh,
that. But I'm saying there's so many positive Moorish melanated brothers and sisters waking up so fast right now. I'm loving this generation because it's like, I've been waiting for y'all to wake up since the '90s. I'm an old head. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old head. I realized I was melanated. You know what I'm saying? Call me black, call me with Moors, whatever you choose to call, blah. Just don't call me an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
right.
that's it. That's it. So, whatever you feel like you are, I love it. I love it, man. I've been waiting for everybody to wake up. This generation's waking up real fast. Me and you talk about it a lot. Me and you have about 10 years between us, I appreciate you when I was taking a turn to believing that I was too old to catch up with anything. I met you, brother, and you re-sparked the whole light inside of me, to make me recognize that I still have the ability to have youth. You know, even though my age is up, it doesn't mean that my body and my soul have to be up with, you know what I'm saying? Like in loss of it. Because in reality, we're all 76 trillion years old, right?
Come on, talk about it. We ain't gotta be no old, I don't like cursing in the temple, but we is not gotta be no old, excuse my French, old ass grumps. I
Right, right.
mean, they, like when you become an adult, they say, I can't remember how the master I used to listen to at the time, but he used to have a little rhyme for it, but when you old, you grumpy, and that's just that. When you get older, as you get older, you get grumpy, and to not get caught in that frequency, that's why we're doing what we're doing now. We discussing current events, and that's what we did. That's one of the cultural or civic engagements that we had. Even in the past, we came together and discussed current events across the world. And that's what you see on the pyramids. That's what you see on the pyramids in Mexico. That's what you see on the pyramids in Egypt. And that's what you see on the pyramids in Asia, even
Right
in
on.
India. You know what I'm saying? And so, uh, I'm still trying to get like my noble Simone over there because she say she don't even know the Bad and Bougie crew. I'm like, what? Hey, hold on, baby. Wait a minute. Like, I don't know. And as much as I kind of cut myself off from hip hop, my music name is hip hop, so that's kind of what I grew up on. Uh, hip hop kind of partly raised me, and you got to have the wisdom, but also the street knowledge, especially as a brother.
I got
Um,
about that
it's it's
subject.
it's about survival. Go ahead. Let's touch on it before I jump into this literature.
Hip hop, hip hop for one, that was something that we created and they stole and they manipulated and they uh can I say they dirtied it up with they now you got white boy, excuse me for saying, but you got white boys up on YouTube nowadays, and they talking about the formatting and how they put their technology into it, and how this is better than this, and how these lyrics are better than these lyrics, and how this individual, and they're always talking about their, every now and again they'll throw in a Kendrick Lamar that's actually spitting some good lyrics. Every now and again they'll throw in, you know what I'm saying, somebody else that's throwing in some good lyrics. But for the most of it, they're discussing the idiots of the industry. And we got to stop saying that, oh man, I'm trying to get away from hip hop. I need to throw hip hop away. Oh, I need it. Man, why do you feel that way? You
Yeah,
feel that way because it got so deteriorated. You know what I'm saying? It got so
It
washed
evolved.
down, and it got so, no, it didn't evolve. It devolved. It went
It's
Right,
it
it
did.
devolved. It changed. It
it's
changed.
But
top.
It's
but
not
but
what it used to be.
right, but see, and okay, in my days in the '90s, you had the two elements, right? You had hip hop and you had rap. Now, what?
Uh-huh.
Then you had trap music, okay, like between, all right, like between, and then 2000s, and then it started progressing into now what y'all listening to that y'all mistakenly called hip hop is really pop hop. All right,
Pop, hop. Yeah, go ahead. Get him. Get on.
that's that's what initially is pop hop, because they're using all the popular music, all the popular ideas, all the ideas, and I ain't gonna lie, yay, Kanye helped to progress it to what it is today. He used a lot of the '80s geeky little white music that nobody would really listen to unless it was really like all that Peter Gabriel and all that stuff. You know, people think our music were geniuses back then. They were lame as fuck because we were still listening to soul and funk. We were still listening to all that stuff. And Kanye, if it wasn't for Kanye to bring all them beats back up and then manipulate it to what it was today, then nobody would even care. We would still be doing what we were doing. You get
Yeah,
it? That's all
let's
I'm
say
saying.
this. Let's
And
say this. Go ahead. Finish out. Finish out. Go ahead.
if you wanna really pay attention to what's going on, when Kanye does his best music, he reverts back to soul and funk. Just listen to all of Jay-Z's hits that Kanye actually produced. He still reverted back to Otis Redding, right? He still reverted back to other Aretha
That's
Franklin
right.
and other artists that had soul in it. So that's when he did his best works. And then every now and again, you got to reach back and go back into their lame operas and stuff like that. And I'm not talking trash about operas in whole, but I'm saying that he reaches the most driest music that they've had just to prove that he can make their music sound better. So
Yeah,
I mean, with that
yeah. So
but
let's bring it to this because, like y'all said, it it didn't evolve and it devolved. So the thing is, the main key is it's just like church. Same thing that happened with the church, and the customs and the way of life. We devolved and we got further toward modernism, or or this elitism type of capitalistic structure, which capitalistic ain't really bad because we're gonna go over that next week. But and we got something real special for that. But um it's not really that much of a bad thing if you understand the true biblical principles of it. But the point I'm making is that it's just like anything else, especially like with the church. It was due for edification, and that's what we have gotten away from. Especially even myself not being productive as I used to be with with just the music and stuff like that. Because when when I do some productions, it's to bring edification to that sound, to that frequency that they was trying to lead us into. And now our children is on it like crack, like brother Brian, me and brother Brian was talking earlier about this. It's like digital crack now at this point. But with that, let's jump into some of this literature, to this last part of this literature, and then we can get some closing remarks before we head out. So I want to make sure let it be known, um, for the people that's gonna be coming back, listen to the replays, and want to get involved with the temple. And I appreciate y'all for making y'all contributions and that positive feedback. But we got to have these these discussions and really touch on it, express ourselves, and address the things that are happening around us so that we are aware, and just bring awareness to each other. Um, but I want to read this plea from the prophet, and then we're gonna get into the warnings that we're supposed to read. Uh, and with that, the prophet said, "If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race because you will know who you are and your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you have now, need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is an open field to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. If the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? It is your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish National Divine Movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this government as an American citizen. This is what was meant when it said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you," by the prophet. So I wanted to, let it be known because we read it last week, but it really got to be made, made clear. This is our issues. These are our problems. These are, our situations, that we got to touch on and we got to deal with. And whether it's, Kanye or whatever else, you know, um, it's not to participate in the gossip that's going on in the world. We want to talk and get clarity. Um, and just whether whatever's going on in your side of the world, that's also open to bring to the current event segment that we have, and just touch on current events because that's what we do in our Juma on Friday. This is our Juma, as they call it, in Orthodox Islam, the gathering, and that's what that means. We're having our Juma. We have it late in the day versus early in the morning, like some temples do, but nonetheless, we're still gathering in the divine name. So with that, I'm gonna go into to these warnings and messages, these messages that the prophet wants us to read in every temple meeting. I put the link up there at the top for joining the temple, for all the temple members that um, are looking to have a temple home, if you're not a temple member or you're just a rogue Moor and you need a temple home, we're here. You can click that link at the top, that's pinned to the top. You can join us. We went over the Holy Shahada and how to become a member of the temple. Go through your process. Click the come back, listen to the replays. Click that Civics 101 link. Join the school, enroll in the school, and take the courses. The courses are do it yourself. Can y'all mute that out real quick for me? Because I'm looking at the what's the name? Yeah, join the Civics 101 courses. Take the courses. Is do it yourself. Each assignment is a blog. It's an essay. So you're responding to the assignment. So uh, hold on, let me mute it out. Yeah, so each assignment is a blog, and that way, we know that you're comprehending the lessons. And with that, let's go ahead and get into uh these warnings coming from the prophet, and then we can get our last contributions. So the prophets say, I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your card at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cardin and button, cease wearing a turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. True peace. Noble Drew Ali. All right, y'all, I'm going to read this last warning. We're going to get some last contributions from everybody, and then we're going to close it out with the prayer. We're going to take our butts home, baby, and enjoy the rest of this holy day. I'm glad everybody and honored everybody that came out and participated. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful messages that came through. And with that, let's get into this message that's supposed to be proclaimed at every temple meeting. Islam. The prophets say, I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me in the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world would not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. True peace, y'all. So with that, we have the link that's pinned to the top. You can join us. It's less than a coffee. It's only 4 quarters of a month, and that's for those that have went through the holy shahada and joining the temple. And with that, y'all, before we go into the prayer, anybody got any last contributions that they want to make? Anything they want to say? Speak from the heart. And before we go ahead and close it out.
I don't really have anything to say. I'm just kind of amazed at how how the Moors have been committed to the words of Noble Drew Ali, and because everybody else from that time and going on to this day and time uses price, and I'm talking about the price. It's only a quarter. It's only $1. On a monthly basis. Everybody else around the world, including other churches of other denominations, other religious sects, outside of Islam, uses the excuse of inflation every chance they get. They talk about the bills they need to pay. They talk about everything else that needs to get bought. You even got ridiculous people talking about the planes that they need to buy in order to preach better. And as Muslims, I'm really proud that we didn't use that as an excuse, and we keep, that just goes to show the sincerity of heart, and so, when dealing with these matters, because we're just trying to make sure that everything stays in rotation. We're just trying to make sure that everything stays in its focus. And so if that dollar is needed, then I'll be more than happy to give that dollar up every time. With that, I yield.
Shay. Brother Jonathan, Brother Brian, y'all want to say something before we head out? If not, it's okay. I'll just go to the prayer.
I appreciate, this evening. I wanted to say thank you to Kaba about mentioning the music. I played music, and that's a big reason what changed my course and in my own personal history has been looking at the marketplaces and looking at how music is evolving, and being in a band is different than just going to watch a band play, because you're thinking about, where are we fitting in? Are we fitting in with the other bands that we're, looking to market with and perform and create pretty much a tribe essentially? And so, if you look back in the 70s, which is really the golden era of creating a sound and a tribe based on the band music, and then eventually it became this hierarchical fame thing. Eventually you got your top 40, and then you start getting into layerings. And I think Kanye is one of the last bigwigs of that, and he's kind of in that position where he's already done some philosophical stuff, which I look at aligns with the Newocracy Radio and the whole No One Society and whatnot, as well as the World Temple. I think he was the front runner, and he's kind of stuck in his, I don't know, karma or whatever. We all got it, and that goes for Biden as well and his son, and the Most High God's really in charge when it comes down to the pH levels balancing. So with faith, I'm grateful to be here, and thank you all. Thank keep going. Be here next week, whatnot. So
Thank you, Brother Jonathan. Brother Brian, you want to chime in on something real quick? Or you
No,
can go
I
ahead.
just said I enjoyed everybody's feed in on what we talked about. You know how I feel, Dr. Lawiy, right now. I'm just enjoying the company and the conversation. I appreciate all y'all, kings and goddesses. Appreciate y'all.
Brother Brian, it's great to be in body with you. I've heard I've taken a listen to other Jumas in the past that I wasn't able to attend due to different reasons. But it's an honor and a pleasure to finally be in body with you, my brother. Islam.
Islam, thank you. Likewise.
Much love. Yeah, we can send some love and light toward Brother Brian. Um, he going through some not him personally, but his family and community that going through some things. So just wanted to make sure we get them some extra love and light this evening. And with that, I really do appreciate y'all as well, and much honors, much respect. Um, before we close out, I gotta give all honors to the prophet, give all honors to the forerunner of the prophet, Honorable Marcus Garvey, as well as the teacher of teachers, the prophet's forefather or parent, I'm sorry, or father, Brother Deuce Ali, Noble Deuce Ali, as well as the master teacher who woke a lot of us up to this information that was coming from 100 years ago at this point now. So with that, let's close it out. It's already over time a little bit, so we're gonna close out with the prayer. Y'all enjoy y'all evening. I sure am. And y'all have a blessed one. So y'all know how it go. 2 fingers up, 5 fingers up, facing the east, feet at a 45-degree angle. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Amen. Islam, y'all. Wadu. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Friday. I'm about to call it a night. And if y'all need me, just give me a text. Peace, brother Jay. You came at the last moment, but we gonna honor you in the space. Thank you for stopping through. I'm about to close it out, and just show up here next week, brother Jay, as we do our holy day, and join us or listen to the replays. Kick that gray block of words at the top that say that say World Temple, and join us. And we'll be back next Friday, or just join us Sunday. We'll be here Sunday as well. So I'll see y'all Sunday. And for those that'll be joining me on Saturday for Holy Family Day, I'll see y'all there. Love and light. Wadu.
True peace, love, and light. What?